I suppose so.
Hey everybody!
What's up?
We're back with we don't do too many of these anime. Well, we do a small amount.
We do them when we can.
Yeah.
But today we can.
So we watched Gotham by Gaslight, and we watched it separately.
Yes, you watched it first, and then you said, "Hey, why don't you give this a look-see?" Because I had read the book.
See, that's
many moons ago.
That's the reverse. I have it. I have not read it yet. I actually have your copy.
Yeah, I gave it to you 2 weeks ago. And then you came to me yesterday and said, "Hey, watch this movie." And I was like, "All right, fine, I'll watch it. I've read the book. Why not?" Because I gave it to you when we first saw the trailer, and you're like, "I don't know, I've never heard of this." And I'm like, well, "Here, let me fish this out."
Yeah, well...
So, what's your excuse there, bud?
Work.
I run a show that puts out 3 videos a week, and I work full-time, so what's your excuse?
Been doing a lot of stuff. Working on my show, Sean.
It's not all he was working on.
Okay, so...
Working that shaft. I officially enjoyed this conversation way more than I did watching Gotham by Gaslight.
I didn't.
Like, even as something, if I hadn't read the book, this would have angered me a lot. Because it takes from a lot of various sources, and its end twist doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Being someone who's never, like, read...
Well, again, I kept trying to divorce that from the book, which it's easy to do because they literally share very little in common. I realize that sentence didn't make a whole lot of sense now, but between Gotham by Gaslight, the book, and Gotham by Gaslight, the movie, the only thing it really shares is the absolute base principle of the book, which is Batman in the 1800s-ish, fighting Jack the Ripper. No.
I thought it was like the 1930s.
No, it was not the 1930s. No. We were a little more advanced in the 30s.
I don't remember what date they said, but...
I don't either, but there are a few things that I need to look up real quick, because they make a few references, and... So, why don't you explain what all happens in this show?
Well, it's Batman fighting Jack the Ripper. You basically explained it there. I know that there's some stuff, a lot of it just feels too, like, fan servicey.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that was actually my very first big problem. There's a lot of this didn't feel like it was there for anything other than to say, "Oh, this is what Poison Ivy would look like in the turn of the century."
Yeah.
This is what Selena Kyle would look like, and it's like, why do you even need them here? This is the part where it becomes kind of difficult, because, like, you want to talk about this product being its own individual thing, not based on anything.
It was the 1830s.
It was the 1830s.
Not the 1830s. It just says the Victorian era, which is the 1830s to 1900.
Yes. So, I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was right. 1800s, and he fights Jack the Ripper, and again, I would love to talk about this as its own thing, but that kind of becomes impossible because you're already basing it and using the original material to boost your sales.
Yes.
So, me not saying anything about the original Gotham by Gaslight would be a disservice to Gotham by Gaslight, which is one of my favorite Elseworld stories, because it has so little to do with the modern Bat mythos.
I liked the concept of, because back then...
You should read the book.
Back then, in like the 1800s, that actually would have been the perfect time for somebody to be like a vigilante.
Right.
Because of the lack of technology. It's like now, if I put a costume out and go out and decide I'm going to fight crime, guess what? My identity's probably going to get discovered really soon because the first time I bleed and leave blood on the ground, there's my DNA. That's somebody can like, oh, Jared Brown's the
that's why you take a little squirt bottle of bleach. And you just go.
Or ammonia, like the Boondock Saints.
There you go. That's what you do. But
ammonia, it's all worthless. Fuck! Who are they?
Oh, that's what this movie needed. It needed Willem Dafoe's freak out.
I didn't mind the voice actor.
The voice actors were okay. Batman Bruce Wayne came off as a little monotone, across the board.
Do you not know who it is?
Bruce Greenwood.
Yeah, our favorite dead head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What was that now?
Yeah, he was a Patriot.
Oh, I did not know that.
Because he was Batman in Under the Red Hood. Too.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot because I didn't really enjoy the Batman performance in that movie either.
I like those too. Under the Red Hood's like one of my favorite stories, and it's so true to the comic, though.
Anyway.
Unlike this one, apparently.
Yeah, well, the original took basically just the absolute bare bones idea of Batman being a detective and supplanted it in the 1830s. And just said, okay, there's a guy who's wealthy by this era's standards, and he sort of wears a costume and hunts down detective-y stuff at night. And he squares off against Jack the Ripper, who has come from London to Gotham. Now, in the book, they never reveal Jack the Ripper's identity.
Yeah,
which is...
It's the greatest universal mystery of all.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of theories for who the Jack the Ripper was, but there's nothing confirmed.
Well, when they started this, I was like, oh god, they're going to make the Joker Jack the Ripper. It's not going to make any sense, but it would.
I thought
perfectly,
that too.
As did I, because that would be like the absolute worst idea ever for a movie. But it turns out they didn't do that. They did something entirely extra boneheaded that makes zero sense, both with the character, the original Jack the Ripper, and the character that it becomes. So they've not only soiled their own creation, they've soiled a character and just besmirched him. They've given a really stupid backstory to a criminal that nobody will ever know's existence to, or his true identity to. Yeah. And they've screwed up a book. So, nice job, Gotham by Gaslight, by making Commissioner Gordon Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that made no goddamn sense.
It just comes out of nowhere at the very end of the movie. Did it ever explain what he wrote down to give to Alfred?
I'm not sure, because at the beginning of the movie, here's the part that just threw me off. Mm-hmm. Gordon has a nightmare of Jack the Ripper killing his wife.
Yes. See, here's
that's why I was thinking, oh shit, it's gonna be the Joker, just like
that was my thought.
Generic ass villain.
That was what I thought. I thought that was going to be something really awful and it was going to happen, but instead they went an entirely different route. Now, if they wanted to keep this to their main Bat people, because they do introduce Harvey Dent,
yes,
that would have been the perfect concept to play with the idea of split personalities.
I was thinking Harvey would have been a better fit.
Like, basically, Two-Face comes out at night and poses as Jack the Ripper. And that would be a perfect way to explain it all, but instead they're like, no, it's Commissioner Gordon, and he hates prostitutes. And he burns his wife so that her sins come out of her.
Because women are the biggest, or wives are the biggest prostitutes of them all.
Yeah, he gives a whole bunch of logic that makes no fucking sense. So, in the end, it turns out, I don't know, Jared. I started watching this and I felt like it was really, really fan servicey and stupid. And then it just kept going, and it didn't get better.
I mean, you had characters you had characters and name drops that weren't even necessary. Like, you have Pamela
who is there in the first 5 minutes to die, because, as we know, if you're a stripper, you're also a hooker.
Then there is Selena Kyle, obviously. Yeah. The priest or not the priest, the nun.
Yes.
I don't.
She is a character, but I could not tell you from where. She's from later in the Batman.
No, I'm trying to remember the character's name.
Leslie
Thomas or Tompkins or something like that.
Something to that effect. He'll include a little note down.
She is a later love interest for Jim Gordon.
Okay.
Well, in Gotham, and she serves some purpose in the comics, but I don't remember.
Right.
Cyrus Gold is in there.
Is he?
Yes.
Who is he?
He is the inmate that started a fight.
Okay.
Cyrus Gold is Solomon Grundy before he died.
There we go. Okay, so that didn't make any real reason for him to be there.
Yeah. So
I don't think they even gave him a name, did they?
No, he said something about him being Cyrus Gold when he was beating people up. It's the big idiot that Bruce threw a tray at.
Right. No, I kind of checked out at that point, so I was like, no, whatever.
And then of course Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, and Barbara Gordon. But I still don't get the whole. Like, where the fuck did the burn on her face come from? And why did Gordon have that nightmare?
Because they didn't know where they were going with this plot when they started writing it. I have a feeling that they started writing this and they put it down for a while because something probably happened internally. And then they came back to it much later.
I can agree with that.
And it really feels like they started an entirely different script almost 2/3 of the way through.
I kind of wish they would...
Because nothing points to Gordon as being Jack the Ripper.
No, because at first you kind of get classic Batman and Gordon.
Right.
And then...
all of a sudden, BAM! I'm Psycho Jack!
See, like, I would have liked this more, I think, if they had done, like, your typical... Like, Jack the Ripper, like, all books and shit, his biggest, like, opponent is Sherlock Holmes. And if they had to use, like, Batman like Sherlock Holmes, that would have been great. Because Sherlock Holmes, like, tries to hunt Jack the Ripper in a lot of his books, but never succeeds. Are you looking at me like that?
We may need to have a conversation later.
What?
But, anyway, long story short, I feel that they probably started out writing this as to where it was going to be Harvey Dent as the bad guy, and then his face gets burned while on the climax of the Ferris wheel, and that's how he becomes Two-Face.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been perfect, and it would have lined up perfectly with their story, and it just would have been a fairly mediocre Batman story, and I was like, well, that happened. No, but there were parts where I was able to divorce my enjoyment of the book versus my hatred of this movie, because the final third of this movie basically rips off Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Batman fighting a foe he's been after for a long time at the Gotham World's Fair, while his his love/nemesis tries to help/escape certain death.
You're right.
And he runs away from the police while being shot at, while not in disguise as Batman, only to be found by his lady love that he doesn't know is undercover predator person. The entire last bit of this, I was just sitting there, I'm like, I've seen this all before, done much better, because I had way more character development.
Wait, no, he knew about Selina. He knew part of Selina, because remember, she fights Jack in the first 15, 20 minutes of the
something
movie?
like that, yeah. But he didn't know that she was somebody out there who was out there beating up for everybody. But
I feel lately with the DC animated movies, the ones that stay out of their set of movies, just they've stopped putting effort into them, because you have the whole Justice League and Titans series and the Batman ones that all are linked, like all the Justice League War, Flashpoint Paradox, all those are intertwined, and it's also like Batman versus Robin, Batman and Son, all those are connected to them. So lately, when the last two that they've put out, I just have not enjoyed that much, which is Batman Harley Quinn and Batman Gotham by Gaslight.
Yes.
The next one is a Suicide Squad movie that is going to be, once again, connected to their bigger universe that they have the characters in.
I don't know. Like I said, there was a lot of problems with this movie, and anytime I can basically tune out and kind of know what you're doing 20 minutes before you do it, that's not exactly a good thing to have for your movie.
The idea, it's good idea, bad execution.
Yes.
And
well,
also,
therein lies the biggest problem. We kind of saw this with Killing Joke.
Yes.
And how this is something that has a really great source material and would not be that hard to adapt, but there are parts of it seems you went out of your way to just change for no reason when it didn't need changing.
See, like, Killing Joke was one of those that everybody was on board for, because Mark Hamill, like, came out and, like, said, you know, I've been doing the Joker for so long.
Right.
I really, I don't feel there's anything left for me to give unless we do something like the Killing Joke.
Right.
And guess what? He didn't have the first part of that script. He didn't have the first 30 minutes. He had the Joker's part.
Yeah.
And so, like, he thought, oh, yeah, I'm doing this awesome thing. And then you get the first 30 minutes that...
Well, there we go again. If you just fast forward past that part, you get a fairly decent story.
That's one of those, though, I really wonder, like, what the fuck Kevin Conroy and Tara Strong were... Like, they should have said something.
They probably did, and then somebody at Warner Brothers said, "You want to get paid, fuckface? Read the paper. We can replace you with a studio intern, and nobody would know the difference."
I think everybody would know the difference between Kevin Conroy and every other...
Not in the DC exec's mind.
And
not in the Warner Brothers exec's mind, sorry. We can get somebody else in here to be Batman. Anytime somebody with a man comes up, I always want to call him in. Give him a first name, Paul Batman. Soul Spiderman. This is no different. Paul Batman in the 1830s.
But don't forget Dickie and Jason and Tim.
That pissed me off really, really hardcore. And it was kind of the first inclination that this was not going to fly either as an adaptation of the original source material or as its own thing.
You mean Poison Ivy getting killed in the first 10 minutes didn't do that for you?
Poison Ivy, I could
no, like the first
off.
3. She died really early.
That one was the first half of the nails in the coffin. Those 3 kids coming out was just basically somebody nailing the rest of it in, jumping up and down on the lid to make sure it stays shut, and then pouring cement over it to make sure that no one ever opens it again.
You have some strong feelings.
I did, because, well, that was the big thing when it happened. I was just like, why are these kids here? Why are you giving me Tim, Dick, and Jason? This doesn't make any sense. The 3 never really interacted all together as Robin. You had some crossover between at least 2 in the overlap, but you never had like all 3, and they weren't part of a group that came together before that.
Yeah,
all you're doing is fan servicing this, but by fan servicing it, you're distancing yourself from a source material that didn't require the fan service.
The 3 Robins never really interacted until the past.
It's like the Red Hood, wasn't it?
After that, because
was it?
Jason was evil. Well, Jason was the bad guy.
Well, yeah, but that was the first time basically Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, and Jason Todd.
Yeah, we're all together.
Because
Tim Drake came around because Jason Todd died.
Right.
And so, like, Dick Grayson has interacted with all the Robins, like all the old ones, the new ones, everything. but Tim Drake never really... Him and
Right.
Jason don't interact that much until much later on. And basically New 52.
Well, either way, I have a feeling most of this was done for padding.
Yeah.
Because the original Gotham by Gaslight is a very short story. It's like maybe 20 pages. If you include like the introduction and the credits page. And it's a really simple story, but it's really, really good. It's one of my favorite Elseworld stories.
Elseworlds most of the time tend to be good.
Most.
Not all.
I would like to introduce you to Superman at Earth's End, which is followed by Kamandi at Earth's End, or Superman.
I'm talking
Distant Fires, I think it was, where
stop.
Like the end of the world happens and the Joker becomes sane.
I'm looking for something to throw at you. Stop it.
Let's see, what else do I know about from Elseworlds that's really fucking awful? I'm just gonna grab my phone real quick. But long story short, yeah, there's some really shitty Elseworld stories, and this one kind of breaks that mold. And it, like I say, it is good because it does its own thing and doesn't try to devote itself exclusively to Batman's mythos and his backlog of characters that they seem to arbitrarily say have to be shoved into everything that happens now.
And guess what happened in the movie?
And in this movie, they do exactly what the other one didn't do, and this becomes just a boring, generic Batman fights a bad guy.
In the 1800s.
In the 1800s. Which, congrats to him for making a motorcycle in the 1830s, by the way. Like, not even alluded to, is like, I've got this thing in production, Alfred, be careful with it. The steam-powered engine that I'm putting in this will revolutionize transportation, and nothing like that. It's just, boom, Batman on a motorcycle. It's like, and he roars by a policeman who just stands there and goes, well, that was weird.
I would have been losing my shit.
Seriously, I mean, he should have been standing up, what the fuck is that thing?
It's a horse and buggy with no horse and only 2 wheels.
It's a horse and buggy with no horse and 2 wheels.
It's a rideable electric buggy.
They did have bicycles, you know.
Oh, okay. Well,
the penny farthing. My God, it's a miniature penny farthing, but he's not pedaling it. It looks like it's roaring like some kind of animal. My God, he's strapped a demon betwixt his nethers and he's using it as transit.
Even that would have been better than just...
Oh, go figure. Going back on the beat.
Like, I feel if it was set nowadays, he would have just been like, and then started texting or some shit like that.
Well, if it was nowadays, we've had motorcycles and stuff for a while, so that wouldn't have been a big thing. But yeah, seeing something like this kind of makes me worried about a lot of the other Batman or DC-related stuff in general.
They touch Kingdom Come, I will kill them.
Well, that's going to be a touchy subject if they try and do that either way. No, like Batman Ninja is like the next big thing that's coming out. Have you not heard of this? Something happens and Batman goes back in time to feudal Japan with the Joker. It kind of looks interesting, but given what they did with this, it seems like they're going to be...
I think I was the Batman anime, like...
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know if that was official, like, DC movie or...
They've released a trailer for it on DC's YouTube page.
Oh, shit.
Yep. But it kind of makes me worry that they're not going to try anything new, and they're just going to demand that they do the same exact... Ugh. Oh, this movie gave me indigestion there. Quick, hand me the Bat-Tums!
I don't have any time.
Yeah, I noticed. But it really feels like they're not going to put a lot of effort, and they're just going to say, just do the same thing we've done.
No, if any character needs to get transported back in time to when there's ninjas, it needs to be Robin. Little Robin.
Well, it's Batman, Robin, the Joker, all of them.
I know, but is it like...
I don't know.
I need to know if it's interconnected to the rest of it, because I mean, Damian Wayne with ninjas, like, I could get down with. Because
he
was raised by the League of Assassins. He's straight. Like, he would just be like, I'm a better ninja than all. Like, being smart mouth little Damian. I want to see a ninja just come up and smack the shit out of him.
So Shogun just walks up. Wah-ha!
You're nothing, bird boy! Boy in the bird. And
Only
I wanted
he says
to
it way more impressive because he's a feudal shogun. And he has that big, deep, booming voice that all shogun have.
I'm down.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on Batman Gotham by Gaslight.
Let us know what you thought down in the comments.
Yes, did you enjoy it? Did you read the book?
Hit that like and subscribe, and then hop over to Sean's page. And what was the last one? Sonic?
I don't know.
I think you were.
It's up.
You were judging Shadow the Hedgehog. Like that.
No judgment here.
You're like, I don't get it, and then like he was roller skating. It was.
He has rocket skates.
Oh my god! All right, guys. Well, until next time.
Better than when he wore soaps.
We'll see you guys later.
Later.